Stop scrolling and listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you will permanently change how you see people, power, and even yourself. All your life, you've been spoon-fed 4 comforting little phrases that sound wise, mature, and morally correct. But in reality, they are weapons designed to keep you obedient, hesitant, and easy to control. These aren't harmless cliches. They are 4 dangerous lies that quietly destroy your power from the inside out. And the cruel twist? You probably repeat them to yourself every single day, without ever questioning them. Over 500 years ago, a man named Machiavelli noticed the exact same patterns. In a world of ruthless politics, shifting alliances, and constant betrayal, he understood a brutal truth. Power is never granted. It is seized by those who know how the game is really played. That's why he wrote The Prince, a book so controversial that people still argue about it centuries later, because it rips the mask off human nature, influence, and control. The ideas inside that book are not dusty old theories. They are the same uncomfortable realities running your workplace, your relationships, your social circle, and even your inner dialogue right now. There's a reason these 4 lies are everywhere. They serve a system that benefits when you are patient instead of proactive, agreeable instead of respected, comfortable instead of evolving, passive instead of responsible. As long as you believe them, you hand over your power to people who quietly live by a very different set of rules. But once you see these lies for what they really are, something shifts. You'll start noticing patterns you've been blind to for years. Why certain people always seem to end up with the promotions, the admiration, the influence, while others, maybe you included, keep playing nice and finishing last. You'll understand why some strategies work in the real world and others only sound good on motivational posters. And no, this isn't about becoming cruel or manipulative. It's about finally dealing with reality as it is, not as you wish it were, so you can stop sabotaging yourself and start moving like someone who actually owns their life. So, let me ask you, are you really ready to question the truths you were raised on? Are you willing to trade comforting illusions for uncomfortable clarity? If you are, type this in the comments right now. I choose power over lies. Because once we start exposing these 4 dangerous lies, there's no going back. The first lie society whispers in your ear is this: good things come to those who wait. It sounds calm, wise, patient, like something your grandparents would proudly pass down. But if you look at it through Machiavelli's eyes, you'll see it for what it really is. A command to sit still while bolder people take what could have been yours. When you believe that good things come to those who wait, you turn your life into a waiting room. You wait for the right moment, the right conditions, the right person to notice you, the right sign from the universe. Meanwhile, someone else with half your talent but twice your initiative is sending that email, making that call, pitching that idea, asking for that raise, walking up to that person, and stepping into the opportunities that were wide open the whole time. Machiavelli lived in a brutal world where hesitation meant death, exile, or irrelevance, and he understood something most people still refuse to accept. Fortune favors the bold, not the patient. He wrote that fortune is like a river that floods and overruns everything in its path, but the wise build channels and dams in advance. In other words, life doesn't reward the ones who stand on the shore hoping the water flows perfectly. It rewards the ones who are willing to get wet, make a mess, and shape the current. Think about your own life for a second. How many times have you told yourself you were waiting for the right time to start the business, change careers, speak up, launch the project, set the boundary, or walk away from a situation that's slowly draining you? How many chances have you watched pass by because you convinced yourself you were being patient, mature, and strategic, when in reality, you were just scared of being rejected, judged, or failing in public? While you're waiting to feel fully ready, someone less prepared is already in the field, learning on the job, making mistakes, collecting feedback, and getting better. While you're waiting for the perfect plan, someone with a rough outline and a lot of courage is already shipping, posting, launching, selling, and building a track record. While you're waiting for certainty, someone else is making peace with risk and moving anyway. The world does not pay you for how long you've been waiting. It pays you for the value you create and the problems you solve. Machiavelli would tell you that rulers, founders, and leaders who cling to timidity lose their states, their influence, and their future. The same is true for you on a smaller scale. If you keep waiting for someday, you are silently agreeing to a life where you watch other people live out the scenes you secretly imagined for yourself. The real truth behind this lie is simple. Good things don't come to those who wait. Good things come to those who move. They come to those who send the message, even when their heart is pounding, who ask for the opportunity, even when they might hear no, who submit the application, publish the work, knock on the door, raise their hand, and step into rooms they don't feel fully qualified to be in yet. Action is inherently unfair in your favor. One bold move can erase months or years of quiet waiting. One decisive conversation can change your income, your network, your reputation. One uncomfortable step can open doors that staying patient would have kept locked forever. And here's the part no one tells you. Waiting feels safe, but it's actually the riskiest strategy of all, because time is the only resource you can never get back. Every month you spend preparing is a month someone else spends executing. Every year you hide behind "I'm not ready yet" is a year your skills, ideas, and potential sit in storage while the world moves on without you. If you want to live with power instead of regret, you need to flip this script completely. Stop asking, "Is it the right time?" and start asking, "What's the smallest step I can take today?" Stop hoping you'll be discovered and start making it impossible to ignore you. Stop worshipping patience and start building a bias toward action. You will still feel fear. You will still feel doubt. But the difference between the people who stay stuck and the people who change their lives is not that one group is fearless and the other isn't. It's that one group moves anyway. So take this in. The first dangerous lie that destroys your power is that good things come to those who wait. The empowering truth is that good things come to those who move first. Speak up, step forward, and dare to act while everyone else is still thinking about it. The second dangerous lie that quietly drains your power is this: everyone deserves respect. On the surface, it sounds kind, noble, and morally advanced, as if disagreeing with it automatically makes you arrogant or cruel. But through a Machiavellian lens, you see the trap. If everyone automatically deserves your respect, then your standards mean nothing, your judgment means nothing, and your most valuable social currency is being handed out for free. Let's be clear. This is not a license to be rude, cold, or inhumane. Basic human decency should be a default setting. You can be polite, kind, and fair to everyone you meet. But respect is different. Respect is not a participation trophy for simply existing. It is something earned through character, competence, consistency, and contribution. When you treat respect like a blanket you throw over everyone equally, you accidentally send a loud message to the world. My time, my attention, and my approval are cheap. What happens then? You start respecting people who clearly don't respect you. You give weight to the opinions of people who have never built risked, or achieved anything. You let criticism from cowards sting as much as feedback from winners. You treat the wisdom of someone who's mastered their craft and the gossip of someone who's mastered nothing as if they carry the same weight, because, in your world, everyone deserves respect. Machiavelli understood something vital about human nature. People don't just judge you by what you say. They judge you by how you move, who you stand next to, and who you bow to. When you pour respect on people who haven't earned it, you don't look generous, you look blind. You appear like someone who can't tell the difference between excellence and mediocrity, loyalty and manipulation, substance and performance. Imagine you're in a room with 10 people. 5 of them have fought their way to success, built something real, kept their word when it was hard, and consistently created value. The other 5 are there because of lucky breaks, family connections, or pure politics. They cut corners, dodge responsibility, and talk more than they produce. If you treat all 10 with the exact same level of respect, admiration, and deference, what are you really saying? You're saying results don't matter. You're saying integrity doesn't matter. You're saying contribution doesn't matter. You're saying you can't tell who actually deserves a seat at the table, and as a result, people at that table stop taking you seriously. Powerful people, high performers, and real leaders do something very different. They are courteous to everyone, but they are extremely selective about who gets their genuine respect, time, and loyalty. They know that what they endorse, they become associated with. They know that when they elevate the unproven and excuse the unreliable, they damage their own reputation and weaken their own position. Now think about the people in your life who loudly demand respect the moment you meet them. They talk about how they won't tolerate disrespect, or how they deserve to be treated a certain way before they've shown you anything of substance. Those people are testing you. They want to know if you have standards or if you're just another person they can emotionally bully into submission. If you immediately give them your full respect, they will tag you as weak and treat you accordingly. But if you are polite yet reserved, if you make it clear that your deep respect is earned, not automatic, 2 things happen. Either they level up and show you their best, or they reveal their true character by throwing a fit, sulking, gossiping, or trying to paint you as the problem. Either outcome gives you clarity. This dynamic plays out brutally in business. The manager or executive who treats high performers and slackers the same ends up with a resentful top tier and an entitled bottom tier. The best people eventually leave, because why kill yourself to over-deliver when the person who does the bare minimum gets the same praise and access? Meanwhile, the worst people stay, drain resources, and drag the whole culture down. But the leader who is kind to everyone, yet reserves deep respect, access, and influence for those who consistently show up, deliver results, take responsibility, and act with integrity, that leader becomes someone people want to impress. Standards create gravity. People will push themselves harder to earn the respect of someone who doesn't give it away cheaply. The same rule applies in your relationships. When you continue to deeply respect someone who lies, cheats, disrespects your boundaries, or treats your time as disposable, you are teaching them that your standards are for sale. When you bow to everyone's opinions online, even from anonymous people who have built nothing, you are teaching your subconscious that strangers' judgments matter more than your own values and experience. Your respect should feel like a luxury item, rare, valuable, and reserved for those who prove they can handle it. So, how do you shift? Start by separating decency from respect. Be civil to everyone, but ask yourself, do they keep their word? Do they take responsibility when they mess up? Do they contribute more than they consume? Do they elevate the room or poison it? Do they show consistency over time, not just charm in the moment? Let your answers determine the level of respect, influence, and access you grant them. When you do this, something important changes. Your self-respect rises. People start treating you more carefully because they can feel your standards. You're no longer broadcasting, "I respect everyone just for showing up." You're broadcasting, "I respect those who earn it, and I respect myself enough to choose carefully." The second dangerous lie that destroys your power is that everyone deserves respect. The empowering truth is that everyone deserves basic decency, but your respect is earned. If you're ready to live that way, drop this in the comments. My respect is earned, not given, and I value myself enough to have standards. The third dangerous lie that quietly weakens you is this: just be yourself and people will like you. On the surface, it sounds beautiful, accepting, liberating, like the ultimate antidote to insecurity. But if you take it at face value, it becomes a permission slip to stay exactly where you are, even if where you are is weak, unfocused, undisciplined, and easy to manipulate. Nobody ever asks the obvious question, which self are we talking about? Because you don't have just one. There's the self that procrastinates and scrolls for hours, and the self that gets up early and does the work. There's the self that avoids hard conversations, and the self that calmly sets boundaries. There's the self that caves to every craving and distraction, and the self that follows through on commitments, even when it's uncomfortable. When people tell you, "just be yourself," most of the time they're really saying, "Don't change, don't grow. Don't make us uncomfortable by raising your standards." It encourages you to default to the easiest version of you, the one that requires the least effort and the least courage, and then calls that laziness authenticity. Machiavelli would laugh at that. He understood that what people see on the outside matters just as much as what's going on inside, because the world can't read your intentions, only your behavior. He wrote about how rulers must manage their image, how they must appear decisive, strong, and competent, even when they're still figuring things out behind the scenes. That isn't fakery, that's leadership. The same principle applies to you. You don't owe anyone the raw, unedited version of yourself that keeps you stuck. You owe yourself the discipline of becoming the version that is actually capable of winning the life you want. Think about two versions of you walking into the same room. Version A is late, flustered, apologizing, blaming traffic, mumbling, avoiding eye contact, hoping nobody notices their insecurities. Version B shows up early, prepared, calm, focused, clear on what they want and what they offer. Both are you, but only one gets invited back, trusted with responsibility, and remembered when new opportunities pop up. Most people call version A being themselves, and version B trying too hard. But that's only because showing up as version B requires effort, consistency, and a willingness to feel uncomfortable. In reality, version B is just as authentic. It's simply the version of you that has been trained, refined, and sharpened. The uncomfortable truth is that the best version of you will make some people uneasy. The self that sets boundaries will upset those who were benefiting from your lack of them. The self that speaks up in meetings will annoy the people who relied on your silence to push their agenda. The self that holds high standards will intimidate the people who are married to mediocrity. And that's not a flaw, that's a filter. You don't need everyone to like you, you need the right people to respect you. The lie of just be yourself and people will like you tricks you into believing that likability is more important than effectiveness, that being comfortable is more important than being powerful. But look at the people you admire, the entrepreneurs, athletes, creators, leaders. Are they just coasting as their most comfortable selves, doing only what feels natural and easy? Or did they deliberately build habits, mindsets, and behaviors that were painfully uncomfortable at first? The most successful people are not just themselves, in the lazy, excuse-laden sense. They are the result of thousands of decisions to choose discipline over impulse, long-term gain over short-term comfort, and courage over approval. In sales, the rep who just is themselves might show up however they feel that day, sloppy, unprepared, rambling, oversharing, trying to be liked instead of trusted. The rep who shows up as their best self has rehearsed, studied the client, thought about solutions, and intentionally chosen their words and energy. Both are authentic, but only one closes the deal. In business, the founder who is just being themselves might work when inspiration hits and avoid the hard, boring, unglamorous tasks. The founder operating as their best self still has doubts and fears, but they've trained themselves to make decisions, have tough conversations, and move forward even when inspiration is nowhere to be found. Machiavelli's world was full of people who felt one way and acted another, who believed one thing and presented another, not because they were fake, but because they understood that power comes from controlling how you show up, not from being a slave to your moods. Your comfortable self got you to where you are right now, and if you're genuinely satisfied with this level of income, respect, freedom, and growth, you can stay there. But if there's even a small part of you that wants more, then you need to admit the obvious. You cannot stay the same and expect a different life. The version of you that avoids conflict will never command respect. The version of you that procrastinates will never build the thing you dream about. The version of you that tries to please everyone will never make the hard moves that shift your life in a meaningful way. There is another version of you, the one that tells the truth, even when your voice shakes, that chooses the workout instead of the excuse, that starts the project instead of endlessly planning it, that walks away from people who insult your standards. That version may not feel natural yet, but neither did walking when you were a baby or driving when you first sat behind the wheel. You grew into those abilities because you practiced them. Now it's time to practice being the self that actually deserves the future you claim to want. So the third dangerous lie that destroys your power is that you just need to be yourself and people will like you. The empowering truth is that you must become and consistently embody the strongest, clearest, most disciplined version of yourself, even when it makes some people uncomfortable, because that is the version that attracts respect, opportunity, and real influence. If you're ready to step into that version, type this in the comments. I choose to be the best version of myself, even when it's uncomfortable. The fourth and final lie that silently steals your power is this: everything happens for a reason. It sounds wise, comforting, and even spiritual, like there's some hidden script where all your pain, failures, and disappointments are part of a grand, meaningful design. But if you swallow this idea whole, it becomes the most sophisticated form of helplessness you'll ever accept, because buried inside it is a poisonous message. You're not really in control, something else is. So your job is just to endure and interpret. Machiavelli would have torn this idea to shreds. He didn't write about princes sitting around waiting to decode the universe's secret plan. He wrote about people who reshape their fate through force, strategy, and decisive action. He compared fortune to a raging river that sometimes floods and destroys everything in its path. But he didn't say, well, it happens for a reason. He said the wise build dikes and channels in advance. They prepare, adapt, and respond. In your life, this lie shows up like this. You lose your job, and instead of immediately updating your resume, reaching out to your network, and hunting down new opportunities. You say, maybe this is a sign. Everything happens for a reason. And then you wait for clarity that doesn't come. You get rejected by a client, a partner, an investor, a romantic interest, and instead of analyzing what went wrong and improving your approach, you shrug and say, guess it wasn't meant to be. Your business fails, your project flops, your idea doesn't land, and rather than studying your mistakes, adjusting your strategy, and trying again with better information, you whisper, maybe I just wasn't meant for this, and quietly back away from your potential. Notice what happened in every case. The event didn't take your power. The story you told yourself about that event did. Everything happens for a reason. Turns you from the author of your life into a character in some mysterious script you're not allowed to edit. You stop asking, what did I do that led here, and what can I do differently next time? And start asking, what is the universe trying to tell me? One question leads to action. The other leads to endless overthinking and spiritualized passivity. Successful people don't live that way. When something goes wrong, they don't look for cosmic symbolism. They look for causation. They ask, what decisions, habits, or blind spots created this outcome? What part did I play? What can I learn from this? They see failure as feedback, not fate. Does that mean everything is under your control? Of course not. Machiavelli knew, just like you do, that there are floods, betrayals, accidents, illnesses, and random events you never could have predicted or prevented. But even then, the only question that matters is not, why did this happen to me? But given that this happened, what am I going to do now? Your response is always your responsibility. The lie that everything happens for a reason becomes especially toxic in relationships. People stay in abusive, draining, or deeply disrespectful situations because they tell themselves, there must be a reason I'm going through this. Maybe I'm meant to learn something. The lesson is already obvious. You need boundaries, self-respect, and action. But instead of walking away or demanding better, they stay and wait for some grand revelation that never arrives. In business, people use this lie to justify quitting too soon. The business failed, so I guess I wasn't meant to be an entrepreneur. No, most entrepreneurs fail multiple times before they figure it out. The difference is, they don't give their power away to destiny. They claim responsibility for their decisions and keep refining. Machiavelli wasn't interested in preserving the status quo, and neither should you be. Everything happens for a reason is status quo thinking, disguised as depth. It's a story that makes inaction feel profound. The truth is far less romantic and far more empowering. Most of the results in your life are not random. They are the compound effect of thousands of tiny choices you made or avoided. What you said yes to, what you tolerated, what you procrastinated on, what you ignored, who you trusted, what you practiced, and where you refused to grow. That might sting, but it should also excite you, because if your choices got you here, your choices can get you somewhere better. You don't need the universe to hand you permission. You need to decide that you are done outsourcing your life to fate. The fourth dangerous lie that destroys your power is that everything happens for a reason. The empowering truth is that things happen because of actions taken or actions avoided, and you always have the power to choose your next move. If you're ready to stop waiting for a cosmic explanation and start taking radical responsibility, write this in the comments. I take ownership of my choices and create my own reasons. Now that you've seen all four lies up close, it's time to connect the dots and really understand what's been happening to you. These weren't random feel-good slogans you picked up by accident. Together, They form a quiet system designed to keep you exactly where you are. Good things come to those who wait teaches you to be passive instead of bold, to sit patiently in line while life rewards the people who cut to the front and make things happen. Everyone deserves respect, trains you to throw your standards in the trash, treat your time and energy like they're worthless, and hand influence to people who've never earned it. Just be yourself, and people will like you. Convinces you that comfort is the goal, that you don't need to grow, sharpen, or evolve, that the exact version of you that's stuck right now is the one you should protect at all costs. And everything happens for a reason, soothes you into believing that your results aren't really your responsibility anyway, that some mysterious plan is pulling the strings, so there's no point fighting too hard to change your circumstances. Passive, dependent, comfortable, powerless. That's the version of you these lies create. Machiavelli warned about this centuries ago in his own way. He saw that the people who win are not the ones who wait to be chosen, who respect everyone equally, who cling to a soft, unchanging identity, or who shrug and blame fate when things fall apart. The people who win are the ones who act first, choose their allegiances carefully, shape how they show up, and take ruthless responsibility for their outcomes. You now stand at a fork in the road. You can pretend you never heard any of this and sink back into the old stories that kept you small, or you can decide right now that you will never look at these lies the same way again. Knowledge without action is just another form of delay, and delay is how power slips through your fingers. So choose. If you're done being shaped by these 4 lies and ready to start living by the truths behind them, I want you to write this in the comments and mean it. I reject these lies, embrace these truths, and commit to living from a position of power. Because in the end, good things don't come to those who wait. Good things come to those who see the game clearly, step onto the field, and have the courage to take them.